Sometimes the weight of history is carried by the smallest shoulders. This is the story of George Stinney Jr., a 14-year-old boy whose life ended too soon, on a path paved with injustice, fear, and unimaginable loss. Alkaloo, South Carolina, a small town divided by race, where white families lived on one side of the tracks and black families on the other. It was a time when segregation ruled, and justice often had a blind eye for those who needed it most. On March 23, 1944, two young girls, Betty June Beneker, 11, and Mary Emma Thames, 7, were found dead in a ditch. Their skulls had been brutally crushed, and the quiet town of Alkaloo demanded answers. Within hours, George Stinney Jr., just 14 years old, was arrested. Witnesses claimed he had been seen talking to the girls earlier that day. But George was a child, a boy whose hands were too small to even wield the murder weapon authorities claimed he used. George was interrogated alone. No parents, no lawyer. For hours, the officers pressed him until they claimed he confessed. But there was no written confession, no signed statement, just the word of the officers in a time when a black child's word meant nothing. In a trial that lasted barely 3 hours, an all-white jury deliberated for just 10 minutes. George was found guilty and sentenced to die by electric chair. No appeals, no mercy. He was 14 years old. On June 16th, 1944, George Stinney Jr. became the youngest person executed in the United States in the 20th century. The chair was too big for his small body. The Bible he carried served as a booster seat. The straps, meant for grown men, hung loosely on his fragile frame. For decades, the case haunted those who heard of it. The glaring injustices, the rushed trial, the lack of evidence, and the absence of a fair defense painted a grim picture of a broken system. 70 years later, in 2014, George Stinney Jr. was exonerated. A judge ruled that his conviction had been a grave injustice, but no court ruling could ever bring George back. This story stands as a tragic reminder of the cost of prejudice and the urgent need for justice. George Stinney Jr.'s story is one of heartbreak, but it is also a call to action, a plea for fairness, equality, and a justice system that truly protects the innocent. We must never forget his name, nor the lessons his life and death teach us.